welcome to Coding After Work.
We're back.
We are back, finally.
we were back last week as well, but...
Yeah, we did a soft start. Well, soft. A lot of bad jokes. But we had fun with friends.
And we're going to have a soft start today as well. We're going to build some software. Yes.
I saw what you did. That's a great start. Puns. Back where we started. So we're taking a look at our backlog today?
Are we?
I don't know. You tell me.
Same thing as last year.
Same procedure.
So let's take a look here. All right. So during the holidays, I added a Twitch stream. Actually, it was just before the last stream we had. And I noticed that, well, our site died. It exploded.
Yeah.
With smoke and blue smoke and
Magic
fireworks and everything.
Everything but unicorns.
So what I did was that I added some code to handle time zones. So we're going to do that. We're going to take a look at what I did.
Yeah.
So that we're all
because it really broke.
It did. Everything broke. Everything broke.
That's not how that song goes.
And earlier this week, I got a Twitter. A tweet. Twitter. This is how old I am. And there was
the internet.
So there was I was just about to say guy, but I don't know actually.
No, a person. We can call them a person.
Let's call them a person. That they missed. We didn't have a way to add things to an RSS feed. And we do have a way to add. Libsyn actually has that all in they have our RSS feed. That's how we send things to iTunes
but we are
and
not
Google
exposing
Podcast.
it on our webpage.
Exactly.
Because we did just the bare minimum on the page before the holidays to get something up.
And this person also said that, all right, so you don't have an RSS. I'm fine with that. But there's no way I can find anything else. I can't find Apple Podcast, Google Podcasts, all of that stuff, because they're not linked from the site. So
yeah, and to be overly clear, that person did not use a like a Spotify app for listening, but downloaded the episodes to an MP3 player. So that's why they were missing out of things that we did not think about because we use Spotify or players like that.
Yeah, and I'm thinking like, if I find a podcast, I'm probably going to say, okay, the podcast is named Hansel Minutes or .NET Rocks or whatever it is. And I'm going to go to my favorite software, search for that show and add it to my list.
But if you don't have that software...
and it would be easier if we just can click something and we got there.
It's one step less that we need to...
So we're going to add an RSS. And we're not going to do the simple way. We're not going to add the libsyn CSS, RSS.
Of course not.
We're going to do it... We're going to do it all the way. Yeah. Then we're going to add a podcast/social links. So I've been researching this a little bit.
That would be the listen on Spotify.
Exactly. And also watch on YouTube and Twitch. And I'm thinking like Meetup and TikTok and all of those things. So we got a bunch of different things here. I mean, show Discord, show Twitch, show TikTok. All of these are going to be partially solved with add podcast and social links.
Yeah, but there's still separate stuff we need to do for some of them. So it's good it's different items.
So add podcast and social links. And we're going to build that as a component. And that component is going to have subcomponents. So we're going to have isolated CSS. We're going to have...
it's a Blazor component, just to be overly clear.
Yes.
Yeah.
But we're going to have a little bit of CSS. I think I opted out from JavaScript, so that's a good thing. And we're going to have, they're going to talk to each other. And all. It's very, I don't want to say simple components. Elegant, yeah.
Maybe minimalistic.
They don't have a lot of code. They don't have a lot of functionality. But we are talking about... I'm totally blanking on the name of these things.
It will come to you.
I hope so, because otherwise this is going to be a pretty long stream here.
And good evening to Simon.
Hey, good evening.
Thank you for joining us. Okay, so how much are we thinking we can fit into this 90-minute sprint?
I think we will be able to, because this person also said that we don't have our full names. Who is this Jimmy?
Yeah.
Who is this Jessica?
Yeah.
So we're going to add full names
we're like
as well.
the artist formerly known as Prince. Just Jessica and Jimmy.
Yeah, sure. Why not? Why not? So let's take a look at our sprints. We're going to show the time
at
zones.
sprint 14.
I know, right? It's
Wow.
crazy.
Yeah.
We're going to add RSS, we're going to add podcast and social link, and we're going to add full names. Let's hope that we can do that.
Let's try.
Let's try. Let's pop into Visual Studio, and we're going to go to, let's see here. Going to go to Components and Index. Let's bring up a web browser here as well, so we can take a look at what we are not now.
Why is that only popping up when you don't need it?
Good question. So this is our current site that we have right now.
Yeah.
And we got
The bare minimum.
bare minimum. We got a
just
podcast, the latest podcast episode. We got the latest YouTube clip. And we got upcoming streams. So here we go. So this thing broke.
Yeah.
So
it really did. And while we are contemplating the breakage, are you pro developers? Jimmy is. I went to school for development, but I quickly did a, 360, 180 maybe?
You did the 360, so you went,
I
went all the way around and
180? I don't know. 90 degrees and went over to user experience. That's what we did. So why did it break? And why didn't we know?
So the problem here was that when we tried this out on stream, everything works because it was running on my machine.
Oh, the works on my machine problem.
Yeah. So we're pushing this to Azure, and Azure. So I'm not 100% sure about how this works and why it doesn't. I understand how to solve it by some amazing posts on Stack Overflow, and I copied those. And, but the thing is, when it comes to time zones, there are many different standards, and Windows has one, and there's one in the IANA standard. Internet something name association. So basically all the other operating systems are using that standard. I'm not entirely sure about
Windows is differentiating themselves from most of the other operating systems. Okay.
So in .NET 6, they actually added a way so it should work in both cases. That's why it's working on my machine.
It kind of interpreted in the code, right?
Yeah, so if I send in an IANA time zone, it's going to work. It's going to work as well as the Windows ID time zone.
That's awesome that they did that.
Yeah.
I like when they when they help us as developers. Although...
Well, it is cross-platform, so they need to do that.
But there's still this but. Oh, the association of something they call internet. Exactly. That's the one.
Yep.
So what happens? I mean, they did solve it for us.
Yeah, but apparently there's something missing on Azure.
Yeah.
And I haven't figured out if I need to install something or if there's some magic
or if it's
button
not
I just need to
there
press
yet.
and it's just going to work. So what I ended up doing was that I created this method.
Yeah.
So it's taking in the timezone name. In this case, it's come from JavaScript, and JavaScript is using IANA.
Oh, right.
Of course.
Of course.
Because everyone else does. So what it's doing here is it's simply running this method, try to convert, and getting back the ID of that system or Windows time zone. So what I did to make that possible is that I installed something called Nothing.
Oh, it's called Nothing?
It's called Nothing. It's kind of a...
Missing on Azure? Heathen! Azure is perfect, complete, and cannot be improved upon. Their Internet Assigned Numbers Authority.
That could be the... Yes.
Probably...
That is correct. That is correct.
Probably that one.
So why isn't it currently... so what am I missing? Did I
like
not
how
have
we
this?
got help. Well, we still
Here it
solved the
is.
problem. Unless you are using our cloud platform.
Yeah.
Oops.
So here I needed to add this package as well as this package. So from what I understand is it's missing the ICU. I have no idea what that is, and it works.
Yeah.
That's the only thing I know about this one.
Stack Overflow for the win.
Yes, definitely. So I needed to add these two packages and make sure that I'm getting the Windows time zone. And that way it's going to work on Azure as well. Now I'm running on a Windows machine on Azure. That might be important as well.
And to understand what we're doing with, what was it? Internet Assigned Numbers Authority. We just before the holiday break, we added time zone, or actually we added the next stream on our webpage, and that blew up
So
because
this one down here.
because there was a mismatch in time zones.
So it was working on my machine, but when I deployed it to Azure, it still worked because we didn't have anything scheduled. And as soon as we scheduled something, it broke.
Yeah.
So I needed to fix that off stream. So that's what we're talking about. All right. So we are going to add an RSS feed today.
Yep.
And I have, let's see here, we're going to add it to the services. So we got a codingafterworks.services. So we're sharing a little bit of code between the WebAssembly project or the WebAssembly server project in this case and the Blazor Server project. So we have a Blazor Server project that we actually have deployed. So that's the one we're running in production. And we also did, I think it was the last stream we worked on Coding After Work site that we created a WebAssembly version as well, just to compare the differences and stuff like that. So what we're going to do, we're going to add a service. So let's actually use the, see if I have that plugin installed. I don't have that plugin installed. Oh my God.
Are you going to need to work
We
without
need
a
to
plugin?
stop everything.
What plugin is this?
It's Mads Christensen's one.
Your favorite one.
Yeah.
Oh, you should tell people about that while you install it.
Should I do that?
It is a pretty nifty.
I gotta figure out what the name is.
Can I plug a plugin? Please do. Please do. Isn't it just add file?
Yes, but it's also part of a bigger thing called
NoDocs. That sounds really
nice.
good. Yeah.
NoDocs.
I may or may not have done the last release yesterday.
Is it this one? Yeah, it's this one. So I see it. You created that one.
Nice.
That is Laura. So what does it do? Well, I understand probably what it does, but how do you figure out what to remove. I'm assuming that's what's happening.
What to hide and not to hide. That's interesting. It hides all values in XML and JSON files. Nice. Good work. Huh.
I just might install that one.
Schema hides values. Huh. Nice. Thank you.
All right. And let's see here.
Puts a button in the editor. Click it and it displays them. Really? Nice. Nice. Hey, I think we got rated.
Mm-hmm.
Welcome,
like
Club C# Fritz.
Hey.
Hi, everyone. And friends.
And friends.
Lots of friends. Hi.
So, chatroom, help me. What is the name of Mads Christensen's plugin for
new files?
Web thingies.
Web thingies.
Essentials. Is it called that? Is that what I'm looking for?
It's
web
the
compiler, web.
Web Essentials. We got Web Essentials. Let's try. Webthingyandstuff.com. Okay. Did you just buy it, or will Jimmy buy it after the stream?
Who will?
Who bought it first? Who bought it first? That's the big question.
Why am I not finding? Is that not in Visual Studio 2022 yet?
Well, it must be. Surely. Oh, he deprecated Web Essentials. He did? How will you survive?
Okay, so add file then. Add file. Add new file. Oh, come on.
Because that's an awesome one. And for our new friends, we are continuing
Mads. Okay.
to build on our Blazor site. We are redoing our website. And last time, we put up our upcoming stream, and it blew up because of an issue with Timezones. So .NET 6 fixed Timezones for us.
Mm-hmm.
However, when you put it on Azure, at least in the configuration we are using, it just blew up. So we are fixing that problem right now.
Well, we did fix that one.
Yeah.
So.
And we're continuing.
Yeah.
And
so now we're doing an RSS feed.
Right. Right.
Let's take a look here.
Because we got a suggestion from one of our listeners to our podcast that might be useful to people. So let's do that.
All right. Let's see if Visual Studio want to help us now. This one.
And we got a question here. Is it the environmental variables app settings where you specify locale or other poorly documented settings?
So in this case, what it's doing, I can show you the site here. So what it's doing, it's pulling it down from JavaScript, figuring out, down here. It's figuring out with a JavaScript interrupt, what time zone you are currently in. And JavaScript is using an IANA time zone definition, but Windows does not. And in .NET 6, this should have been fixed, but for some reason it's not working on Azure. At least I didn't get it to work on my Windows machine in Azure.
Now, we don't know if we missed a setting or a plugin, or if it's just the way Azure works currently. We're not sure, but we had to fix it because the page broke.
And our friendly neighborhood Stack Overflow helped with the solution, and that was simply to install a couple of plugins, NuGet packages, which was this one and this one, which solved the problem.
Yeah. SOD. Stack Overflow driven development. Exactly.
That's exactly what happened.
Development?
It should be.
I think it is.
Okay, let's see if this works now. So we're going to go to our services, and we're going to go do Shift F2. There we go. Awesome.
Oh, that's the Mads, plugin for a new file. Yeah, it is very handy. It's very smart.
Let's call this feed service. Service.cs. So when we're specifying the .cs, it's going to figure out what template it's going to use. So hopefully we're going to get a C# file, which we did.
By magic.
By magic. But we don't want the old syntax. We want a new syntax because I like the new syntax. So we can remove the brackets from the namespace and just have the class pushed to the wall of Visual Studio.
My problems are usually just zone offset missing off the end of format mismatches. Moment.js seems too over the top, but has saved my butt in the past. That's a good tip. We like saving our butts.
Yeah. Okay, so to get data to our feed service, so the feed service is simply going to take the data and push that out as a byte array, actually, with the RSS feed. So we're going to bring in the iContent service. That's the service that we have that has all the content, all our content. We're going to call this service. Come on, keyboard.
It's not the keyboard, it's you.
I know. But
it's you on his keyboard.
It just might be someone that thinks, oh, it's keyboard. And I'm totally putting this in the wrong place as well. And I blame the keyboard.
That's okay. Can you scroll up a little?
I can.
Thank you.
So let's create a constructor. And in that one, we're going to bring in, let's actually just copy this one because I'm a developer and
and therefore you're a pro copy paster.
But I kind of like the Hanselman. Scott Hanselman usually say that you have a finite of keystrokes left in you.
Yeah.
And you shouldn't type more than you have
Me
to.
too. Yeah.
And I like that. I like everything about that.
Hey, thank you. You two seems very friendly. What are you working on, if I may ask? A generic website or something specific? So we have a podcast, we have a user group, and we have a stream. So we have this page we just rewritten in Blazor, and we have put up the bare minimum just before the holidays. So now we need to fill it with stuff. So currently we are adding RSS, so we can show our content. Hey, we have a CPA developer in the room. Copy, paste, alter.
Yeah, that's probably what we all are in the end.
And a Google developer.
Yeah.
That one was hard for me.
What?
To Google things. I felt like cheating. I mean, I know it's not, but it felt like I was cheating. It took me forever to understand that that's what you need to do.
But that is kind of let me just
Google all the things with Bing.
Just type that out. There we go. But that's kind of a thing because when I get questions from people, I sometimes say I don't know the answer.
Yeah.
And sometimes people just need a little bit of help finding it on Google.
Yeah. Googling can be pretty difficult sometimes if you don't know exactly what to search for.
So sometimes when your friends ask you, do you know anything about this? Just Google it, give them the answer, and in, I would say 90% of the cases, you solve their problem.
Usually. So we have a little bit of a question. Can we explain a bit what Blazor is versus older .NET versions?
Oh.
Can we do that in short? Blazor is awesome.
Done. So Blazor is a SPA framework, single page application framework, kind of like Angular or React, but everything is written in C#. Or, well, you can do JavaScript interrupts as well, but in the gist of things, it's all written in C#. Or I can write everything in C#, I should say. So using only C#, we can build interactive web applications that was previously you could basically only do this kind of interactivity using some kind of JavaScript framework.
Yeah. And it's also super fast. So if you are a C# developer or a .NET developer, it's a little bit easier to get started with those interactive pages.
Yes.
There is a server-side Blazor too, yes. So we have server-side and speaking of blanking, not server-side.
WebAssembly.
Thank you.
That's a very good point, because we, at work we're using Blazor. We're using Blazor exclusively, I would say. We don't do anything any web development that is not Blazor at this point. And we are using the server-side version, or the Blazor Server one, because we had a site, we had an MVC site, we had a little bit of Blazor pages and all of that mixed in together. And Blazor Server was also the first version of Blazor that was released. So we jumped on this. We had it in production, I think it was 7 days.
Yeah.
7 or 8 days after the launch. So we were working
living on
this,
the edge.
Living on the edge, absolutely. So for us, it was really simple to just take a little part of the site and convert that to Blazor. Little piece.
Take the next piece.
And next, and going forward like that.
Yeah, that's good. Hey, we have another type of developer in the chat room as well. PDD, prayer-driven development. That's what I do.
So,
well, actually, it's chocolate-driven.
You gotta tell that story.
So I tend to swear kind of excessively when I'm in Visual Studio. Me and Visual Studio, we have a love-hate relationship.
Well, to be
I love
fair,
to hate it.
While you're swearing, I feel safe. It's when you're silent, that's when we're going to have a problem.
Yes. And I do mean, I love Visual Studio, but I prefer Visual Studio Code because it doesn't overwhelm me as much. But there was this one time I was trying to get some code working, and we sit in the same room.
Jessica, swear, never.
Never. Would I? And all of a sudden, Jimmy walks away. I think he's just in the bathroom or getting a drink or something. And I sit there and I with my Visual Studio, and he comes back with 200 grams chocolate bars, like they are humongous, and just slap them on the table. There. And I stopped swearing and I stuffed my face with chocolate instead. So chocolate-driven? Definitely.
Sure,
chocolate-driven development.
That might be a thing. That might be a thing.
That's the only way you get me to code.
Will you start Visual Studio now? So let's. Sorry, I'm kind of going. I'm doing things while you're talking here.
Sorry.
So I installed the NuGet package, the System Service Model Syndication, that has the things that we need to create an RSS feed. So let's see here what we got. So I'm going to create a new feed.
We have a sugar-driven development here. It's the only way.
Also the lecture-driven development.
No, I can't handle you on too much dulce de leche. Too much sugar for you.
There is no such thing.
Okay.
So when we went to, was it?
It was the build conference.
No.
Oh, yeah.
I'm looking for the sweet tea. Where was that?
Orlando. Virginia.
No, Virginia Beach.
Virginia, yeah.
And we went out to a restaurant with a friend, and we heard all about this sweet tea. And that was, it's so much sugar, so much sugar. So I obviously wanted to try that. So so one sweet tea, please. And the server was like, do you want half and half? So where are you from? Well, from Sweden. Do you want half and half?
Maybe no sugar?
Yeah, maybe just tea. No, I want the full experience. Yeah, full experience. I want all the sugars.
The southern U.S. experience. Yeah, exactly.
And they brought in the glass.
Kind of backed away carefully.
Like, and everyone around the table was quiet and was just looking at me, so wondering what's going to happen. And I drank that, and I was like, well, this is how I have my tea.
Honestly, you have more sugar in your tea when you drink. There's always like a slush of sugar left when you drink.
That is the good one.
Yep.
We did take our friends to
Häagen-Dazs,
yeah, and they have dulce de leche milkshake, and I know for a fact that she is kind of hooked on that one now.
Yeah,
that's just amazingly good. I'm forgetting to do things. Let's see, we're gonna need.
We have a fellow Swede who says the only proper way to drink tea is without additives. Maybe some lemon.
Without additives. We're talking about no sugar. Lemons.
I want a little bit
sugar
of lemon.
is like a vegetable.
Sure. Go back to the syndication feed.
So you're gonna need a what is this? Is it the name of the let's see what we got here. Wait, let's remove this one. There we've got the title, and now we need a description. We just skip that one, and we're gonna have a URI, which is going to be new URI. Could I please see a little bit more of what we're doing? HTTPS coding after work.
Because that's our page.
That's our page, .com, and podcast feed. I think that's the name that we're going to use.
Okay.
Let's assume that is what we're going to do for now. And we're going to say that this one is URL kind absolute. Because it is.
What does that mean?
So we can have different URI kinds. So an absolute is the full length of the URI, or the URL. And we got, what is the name of the other one? Relative, so that's relative to the site.
Oh, so that's the / whatever.
Yeah. And we also have relative or absolute, which I have never seen working.
So we're using the absolute.
And we're going to use the absolute. Yeah. That's way better. There we go. And what do we have else? We got items. We don't have any items just yet. So we're going to call it something. Let's see here. Yeah, coding after work feed. So that's, I believe, is the ID of the feed. And the date is, of course, date time offset. No, date time now.
That makes more sense.
So there we go. And next up, we got feed dot.
Fed. Is that the new thing?
That's the new thing. That's the police version of. You're going to have some feds doing stuff here. So copyright simply is going to be that's actually something else. That's new syndication, text syndication content. And that's coding after work. Rock.
No.
Work.
Coding after Wookie.
Ooh, I like it. Let's do that.
Should do that for Star Wars Day.
So we got a little bit of items. Which is a new list of syndication items. I hate this.
Why?
How did Visual Studio know that it was a list of syndication items?
Because it's awesome. That's AI for you.
That's just...
So Jimmy is using Visual Studio 2022, right? And it has some built-in magic.
And now it says, well, you want to add a new item. Well, I do want to do that, but I don't want to do it right now. So you're wrong this time. That's just amazing.
It is. Yeah, look at this. It is awesome at predicting what you want to do.
Yeah.
It doesn't matter if you try to do some common thing or some really obscure thing. It still gets it right like 80-90% of the time. Mm-hmm. It's fantastic.
So we want to get all our episodes.
Yeah.
And we got them in our content service. So that's that it pulls down an RSS from Libsyn and stores them and has them cached and all of that goodness.
Yeah, so Libsyn is the service we use to take our podcast and push it out on all the platforms. So we don't have to do that manually. So we subscribe to that service. And while you're tabbing, 33% of programming in Visual Studio has turned into tab, enter, tab, 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 enter. Perfect timing on that one.
Let's see here.
But it's good you can get help every now and then.
I think we can simplify this a little bit. Items.add. I'm going to add a new syndication item. Let's see here. What does that one want?
There's a red squiggly.
That's like, what are they called? Those confetti.
Oh, serpentines.
They're decorating the code.
Yeah, there's a little serpentine. And Stacy says, but the new examples from tab, tab, tab are really good. They are.
And did you know if I took this and I printed the page, the arrows goes away. The squigglies doesn't print.
Why would you print code?
Because the squigglies goes away.
So if I have written poorly, my code very poorly, which is probably what my baseline, I can just print it.
Yes.
And it will look pretty.
Exactly.
Okay. Do you write your code in Word? It's probably the same motor as in Word that removes the squigglies, though, don't you think?
Might be. So what we're doing here is that we're creating a syndication item. We're pulling that from the episodes item. So we got a title, we got content, and now we got a URI. And the URI is item dot. And I believe there is a URL here somewhere.
Actually, I'm in the way for that.
You are? That's so typically you.
I know. Oh, when I was in high school, we had to turn in our code in a printout. I turned in 45 pages of C++. Yeah. How in the world would you grade that? Or go through it? No. Just no.
So, here's the thing. When I went to school, we had, for the Swedes in the chat, we have Kompis, so COMPIS. So it was a school computer. It was made for schools, particular for Swedish schools. I don't know if there was actually any other country that had these computers. I'm not sure about that. And they had a special keyboard. They thought that the normal standard keyboard had too many buttons. So they did a new one, and they had even more buttons.
How? That doesn't make any sense.
No, it was really, really odd. So there was they had a basic like language that COMAL, so COMAL. So it was pretty close to basic, but it wasn't basic. And back then, I didn't have a computer at home, or I didn't have that type of computer at home. So I actually did write my code on paper.
Oh, jeez.
To bring it to school type it in and see if it worked.
Well, computer magazines, they had printed code as well.
Yeah. I'm that old.
The teacher was a math teacher who liked computers. But you weren't allowed to use pointers because they didn't understand them. So I think he graded basis on the thickness of the turning. Oh my gosh, that's horrible. Hey, he started coding on a ZX Spectrum, just like Jimmy did. It used BASIC, but you wrote line number, then each button had an operation, right?
Have you seen my ZX Spectrum emulator written in Blazor?
Yes, you have written it in Blazor.
Yeah. Well, I know that you have seen it.
Yes. No, I just... it is pretty cool. It is pretty cool. I should probably link it.
So we need to create a little bit of code here to get some settings settings into the... so what we're doing, we're creating an XML feed, and we're going to convert that to bytes, and we're going to push that out from our site. So we're going to say settings. We're going to have a new XML. Let's type that out with correct writer settings. Like that. We need to add a using to system.xml.
You don't have the Blazor Spectrum emulator on the blog?
I might not have.
Okay.
It's zxspectrum.azurewebsites.net.
There we go. Now I can put it in the chat room. There we go. Oh, this is cool. There may or may not be an actual ZX Spectrum programming stream on a Spectrum. You have a couple.
I do.
Yeah. I made a Spectrum cake once.
You should find that and show that next time. There we go. So we got a little bit of settings for to be able to get the RSS out in the correct way. So you guys say using var stream. That's
I
not
don't think that's var.
So I'm not. This isn't when I'm apparently I'm talking a little bit slurry or something like that because my hands are not
Studio.
typing what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So let's see here. Var stream. There we go. We got an XML writer. Like that. And we want to create. So this is code that I actually stole from another project that I was working on. So I do have a little bit of a... I can take a look at things, see what's going on. So that is not right. You should have an XML writer here. There we go. Okay, so then we want to take our feed. Why is this one? I forgot. Apparently I cannot read today. So I need a var stream here as well. Stream, which is a memory stream. New memory stream. There we go. And a little bit of formatting. There we go. So now we want an RSS var, still RSS formatter equals new RSS This is the one we want. And we're going to send in the feed, and we don't want it to serialize as Adam, at least not for now.
We got another tip for you.
All right.
You can stack usings without brackets, like this.
You can stack. Right, so you're saying that I can remove this one and that one. Is that what you're saying? I usually do, so I kind of like
that's the one.
Having brackets. I don't
one
use,
less thing.
Yeah, I get that. I get that. And same thing goes with if statements and for loops and all of that. Even if it's one line, you can just put it beneath. I kind of like the brackets.
You're old-fashioned like that.
I am.
Yeah.
I am.
Yeah. That's fine, but it's
be
a good
something
tip,
else.
though.
Yeah,
it's a good tip. You will save 2 lines.
For me, not there yet.
You're still stubborn about it.
Yeah. But I think
you will come around one day.
Because the difference here is like this, right? So I can do it like that, or even like that.
Yeah.
But I don't think that this is as clear as with brackets.
I think Simon agrees with you. No bracket is confusing to read, and I think it depends on when you start programming or where. If you're a modern programmer, maybe you haven't put that into place yet. Stacy says she's always torn there. I like the neatness of not having the extra indentation, but I find it safer in the future to keep the brackets and the extra lines. Yeah, exactly. I know, this is my favorite thing. This is hands down my favorite thing in Visual Studio. Control K and Control D. That will format the whole thing for you. If it's what I like things neat. Was I too excited about that?
You were too excited about that.
So when you accidentally have too much or iffy indentation, it will clean it up for you.
All right.
Just say it. We're old. I didn't say that because I'm older.
So what we have now is, let's pop back to the feed service. So we built a feed service. It has a method, get podcast feed.
Yep.
It's going to get a byte array with that feed.
Yep.
So now we're going to pop into our Coding of the Work project. So that's our Blazor Server project. We're only going to do that for today.
What are we
the
doing
Blazor
just for
Server project
Okay.
just for today.
Why just for today? What are we doing later?
Because I don't want to do
Because you haven't
the
used the
WebAssembly
docs.
one today.
Okay, that's fine. That's fine.
So we're going to add a, let's do a transient of the type feed service. There we go. So this is a whole nother discussion. I'm not using an interface. I know I probably should be doing that. I'm not writing tests right now, so I don't feel like I need to write an interface for this one at this point because we're not doing tests. So I'm going to do.
Which you probably should do.
Absolutely,
So don't be like us.
But I'm gonna take that. I'm gonna do that then.
Yeah, we have prepped for
now.
testing,
Yes.
though.
Yes, absolutely.
But we have not. We are not well versed in the realm of testing, so we should probably bring someone on to help us with that.
Yeah. So now we're going to do a little bit of minimal APIs, and this is, I absolutely love minimal APIs. You can write APIs in controllers, you can do a lot of different stuff, but minimal APIs is such a nice way to write APIs. So we're simply going to do in program.cs, we're going to add app.map, and in this case, we want to map get because we want a web browser just to be able to serve to that URL and get that feedback. So we're going to map get like that. And then we're going to specify what is the URL, what is the, in this case, relative URL. So we're going to say podcast feed. Podcast feed, like that.
Right.
And we're going to specify a async, there we go, method that takes a feed service. So I'm going to say service like that. So dependency injection is going to go in here, going to see that, okay, they want a feed service. Do I have that registered somewhere? Oh, here, pull that one and use that one. So that's really, really nice.
Now you get overly excited.
Yeah. But this is way nicer than format.
No.
What are you talking about? There we go. And so inside of this, we just simply, what do we want to return? Well, we want to return results dot bytes.
Because it was a byte array.
It was a byte array. And we want to send in, we're going to want to await our service. Get podcast feed. Boom. And we also need to specify the content type. I think we might not need to do that, but that's good practice. Let's do that. Application. That's not how you spell it. Application.
No. Breathe.
Application.
Sometimes you just need to remove the whole word to spell it correctly.
And we got a char set.
Isn't there an enum for that?
It might be. It should be.
There you go.
Is there a, does it take an enum? No, it doesn't take an enum, but that doesn't mean anything. We'll just keep this like that.
For now.
For now.
Well, we did have the, we need to reiterate over a lot of things and fix stuff as we go, since our sprints are 90 minutes and we only do one thing at a time, and then we realize we need to fix something else.
So this, with the minimal API, we're simply going to, the whole API is this 3 lines.
Yeah.
We're saying, if you go to podcast feed, we want you to get the service, get the bytes, and get those out. So let's see if this works. I think
that would be good.
That would be good. And I hope I haven't forgotten anything.
I didn't see any squiggly lines, so there's hope. Even though they're pretty. Yeah.
Help me, Visual Studio. You're my only hope.
Nerd. But I like it.
There we go.
It was a compliment.
Ta-da!
We have an RSS feed.
You're just looking at me. How long is this going to go on?
Yeah. Do I intervene? Do I need to stop?
Do I need to intervene?
And Stacy says, "Awesome! I do love those minimal APIs." Yeah.
So we got an RSS feed.
Yay!
So let's see. Add podcast and social links.
Hey, we got a tip for this is great. I'm showing it here so we can go back and watch that later. Just try it. Just try it.
We got system. So I'm going to blame that this table is a little bit too high for me. So that is my
That's
excuse.
why you can't type?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's your excuse when you're at your desk? Oh, I wasn't supposed to say that?
Are we even friends? It's just...
I'm your wife. It's my job.
Yeah, that's what I used friends, because... Media types. I don't have that one. Media type names.
So maybe that's the one.
Text, application. application. Look at that.
Uh-huh.
And
I'm in the way
what
of all
was
that.
we supposed to use?
There we go.
RSS XML. So we got XML. We don't have any RSS.
Oh.
Okay, so let's keep it that way.
Okay.
I don't know if I guess we could concatenate strings and stuff like that, but let's keep it that way. All right.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough.
Close enough. Okay, so
what else?
What else? So we need to make a component
Right.
that has our links.
Yeah. Yeah, to the different things like Spotify, the Amazon thingy, the Google podcast. Yeah.
So what are we calling that component?
Well, you would call it component.
So I've been thinking first. So what I do before I do a stream like this, I go to the bathroom a lot and I think about what is going on.
That's TMI. You could have just opted for I think a lot. Nobody needs to know where that happens.
But now people know that this is some good thinking.
Yeah, I was thinking about a different word, but I'm not going to say that.
Disturbed thinking.
Yeah.
Is that what you're...
No, but still, it's okay. So that thinking.
Yeah. So the first thing I thought was like podcast links, because we're going to have Apple Podcasts, Google
but we're
Podcasts.
going to have YouTube videos and Twitch streams.
So then I thought social links, because it's social. But then again, Apple Podcasts isn't social.
Right.
So
it's broadcasting.
Is it?
No, I mean the Google podcast.
Yeah. So what are we calling the component?
I don't know. Any suggestion? Socials.
But it's not really socials,
No, it's
is it?
podcasts, it's streams, meetup. TikTok, yeah. I don't know.
Okay, should we just call it links for now?
Could we call it URLs? Media? We have a suggestion.
Media. Yeah.
Well, it is kind of media.
Okay, media links.
Yes. Promotion. We have another suggestion. Resources.
Let's do media links. I like that one.
Yeah.
So now we use the magical...
Naming the hardest thing in development. Yeah. I know, right?
Media
that and finding chocolate.
links.
No, that's not... That's optional, right? I wonder how much money smartphones have cost companies worldwide with all the extra time on the toilets. Apparently, you're not the only one doing your thinking on the phone in the bathroom.
Just the best place. Okay, so medialinks.razor. That's what we're doing. And every single link is then going to be called media link. So let's create one of those as well. Up here, media link dot razor. That's not how you spell razor. There we go. So we got media links and we got media link. So the media link, the plural, is going to take a parameter to find all the images that we need. So we're going to add a little bit of code here. Like that. So we're going to add a property. Why isn't this working? Is this not fixed?
I don't know. Apparently not.
Do I have an old version of Visual Studio? What is up with this? Okay, let's do it the old-fashioned way then. This time it's not my fault that I'm not typing right. So we're going to take, have a public string, and we're going to say that we need a base URL, the base URL for our, where we can find all the images.
Stasis. No, how can prop not work?
It can't work properly.
Oh, come on. Well, okay, I'll give you that one. That was a little bit funny.
So we need a base URL. And we can add a couple of attributes to that one. So we need to add one that is parameter. And the parameter makes it, since we have a component here, it makes it possible for us to set that base URL when we use the component from the outside, if you will.
Okay.
So we're going to have a property or an attribute called base URL. Mm-hmm. Then in .NET 6, I believe it was in Preview 6, we also added an editor required. Like that. So if we're not supplying a base URL, Visual Studio is going to say, hey, we need a base URL, which is good because that way we know that that way it would break already in Visual Studio and not later on.
Okay, so we can see it straight away.
Yeah. Now prop works.
Hey, we have an extra viewer now. We have a Zelda, a cat, who just dropped in. Oh, you should press the cat button. Why do I not have my own cat button? Welcome, cats.
All the cats are welcome.
All cats welcome. That is true. Okay.
So what we're also adding is a render fragment. So the render fragment is a way that we can add other components, other classes to the code. So I'm saying that, so we got our media links. So between the media links start tag and the end tag, we can put something else. Mm-hmm. And if we're naming that child content, we don't need to specify anything else. So we could have many different render fragments that we need to have named, but if we have child content, that is, we don't have to name it. That's by the convention.
That's kind of neat.
Yeah.
Just for your knowledge, there's a lot of puns going on in
and you're
in
not
the chat.
putting them on screen?
I am not. We have props for that dad joke about props. We have it's
Thank
a
you.
catastrophe
Nice
about
one.
the cat.
Mm-hmm.
And Jimmy brings out the worst in me. Or best if you ask Jimmy.
I would say the best. Definitely.
Oh no, and another cat, Loki, is sulking because the laptop is taking up the space on Stacy's lap. Well, actually, it's Loki's spot. So
Yeah.
I'm with Loki. We all know cats rule the world.
They do.
They make all
In
the
one way
rules.
or another.
Yeah. Okay.
So for our components, we need to add a div.
Yep.
And I hate adding things unless they're needed.
Yes.
But this one is needed.
Okay.
Because what we're going to do later on is that we're going to add an isolated CSS. And to get isolated CSS to work, so that so we're going to add an isolated CSS that is going to include subcomponents. So for it to be able to include subcomponents, we need some kind of CSS or HTML class, I should say, or tag that keeps it together.
Yeah.
So that's the div
kind
here.
of something tangible for it to put stuff in.
Yeah, and we'll take a look at why that is important as well.
Awesome.
So we got a base URL.
Yep.
So what we're going to do is that we're going to take the media link with singular.
Yep.
And put those inside of the media links.
Yes.
And we're just going to type that. We simply we can do that. We can do it like this. So what we're doing here is that we're saying that all the links. Let's do it like that. So if I put links, media link,
A media link.
or many.
Yeah.
inside of the media links tag, they're gonna get grouped together with as a render fragment, and it's gonna be rendered with this line of code. So child content. But every single media link needs to know the base URL.
Okay.
So what we can do then is that we can add something called a cascading value. Cascading value. And the value we want to add, let's see here, value is this. So to every single item that has a cascading parameter with the same name, we can specify name. Now we're not specifying a name. I have too much caffeine in me.
Yes.
So we can specify name, but we're not doing that. So now it's going to go by type. So it's going to take a look at, so do we have any child content elements that takes in this case, a media links?
Yeah.
Plural.
Yeah. So we have a lot of interesting discussions in the chat right now. And it all started with this question. Is isolated CSS kind of like CSS with namespaces?
That's a very good description, I should say.
Yeah, we have thin ice here. I think it's defining CSS that's used only by this component.
But it's kind of in a namespace.
Yeah.
It's not in a namespace. The term is not a namespace. But we will take a look at what it looks like in
Yeah, let's
just a
do
bit.
that. And also let's discuss why not use frames.
So we got that one. So let's go into media link. So singular.
Singular.
So in that one, we need to have a couple of things there. We need a little bit of code. So let's add code. And we're going to go with a, let's see if prop works here. Now it's working all the time. So podcast, no, media links. And we're going to call that parent. So we're creating a property that we are calling media links, or of the type media links, and we're calling it parent. So the parent media links control.
It's complicated when it's plural or singular. It just
and this one is a cascading parameter. So we're sending in cascading value into the cascading parameter.
Right.
I kind of like this demo because it shows the power of cascading parameters and values without becoming too complicated or too much code, I should say. I'm probably making it more complicated than it is. So let's add a string as well, and let's call it URL. That's the URL to the whatever we are adding. So TikTok, for example.
Oh, right. Or YouTube or
for
Twitch.
Our URL.
Yeah.
And let's add another one that we're going to call, let's call it link type enum. Let's call it type. That's probably a bad name, so let's call it link type instead. And we need to have that as a parameter as well, like that. So the link type enum is going to be an enum, which has all the different types of things that we can add. And I actually have this a little bit prepared.
Oh, that's neat.
So in the case here, I've added all the things that I
is our
want
backlog.
us to add. Yes, this
Just
is our
two.
backlog. So we're going to create a...
And also scroll up when you're pasting that later.
all right. I'm going to create a new file. We're going to call it media link type enum.
Yes, we are using Azure DevOps this time around. next project, we will actually use GitHub, which will be interesting because Git and I are not friends by any means. But it's a me problem. Oh, you use Jira. Awesome.
So this is a problem that I run into sometimes, that I forget the .cs.
Oh, okay. But I'm in the way for...
So I forgot the
file ending?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Let's
I
see.
can't
There we
scroll
go.
up anymore.
There we go.
We're going to rename it to .cs.
Okay.
And now, things are still not going to work.
Okay.
Because if we take a look at the properties, it's build action none. So it's still not going to build.
Okay.
Guess
Why?
how I know?
Because it did.
So we need to say that we want a C# compiler there. So if we're running into that problem, C# compiler, and it's going to help us. All right, so let's take a look here. I'm going to be a little bit lazy here. Let's see if we have any. Don't have any. Okay, fine. Need a namespace. That would be coding after work dot components, I believe. And we need a public enum. And what did we call it? We call it media link type enum. Longest name in the history of computers. There we go. So we're simply creating an enum. And I am doing something wrong. Am I actually doing something wrong?
I don't know.
No, it's just... So we got media, we renamed it media link enum. There we go. And why is this one? Oh, I forgot that one as well. There we go. So now everything is as it. So I added a bunch of different, we're not going to implement all of them. Amazon Music, Apple Podcast, we got an RSS feed,
we need to
Spotify,
start somewhere.
Twitch, Discord, TikTok, everything. And we're going to pop back to our media link. So we got a public media link type enum, link type.
Yep.
So what do we want this link to do? What do we want it to show? Well, we want it to show the link, right? So we want to be able to press something.
Yeah.
So let's create a link. I am not... Why are you not typing?
I don't know.
Why am I...
Because we don't have enough chocolate. That's why.
So, chat, if you want to donate... No.
Send chocolate my way. No Hershey's.
I'm adding a tag, an anchor tag, and then an image inside of that one.
Right.
And we're also adding a class here that we're going to say that I simply want to add the link type dot toString, which is going to be TikTok if we got TikTok, and I want it to go to lower. No, to lower, like that. So the TikTok with the lowercase letters. And the source is going to be, let's see here, it should be at base URL, actually the parent.
Parrot! It should be the parrot base URL.
It's an X-parrot.
So the at is just to show that we're going into code?
Yeah.
Right.
So we're saying with the parentheses, we can add, we can concatenate things and stuff like that. In this case, we're going to take the parent dot base URL, which is we're going to send in, and we're going to say that we're going to take the link type dot toString. So if it's called TikTok, it's going to say parent URL and then TikTok and then .svg, because I've managed to get SVG files for everything.
So that's an image.
Yes.
Which we can scale.
Yes.
Which I like.
They're actually, it's kind of fun because when you're thinking about an image, a normal image, you see you have dots for every, you have pixels for every single color. Even if it's the whole thing is white or transparent, it's still going to be pixel there.
Yeah.
But when it comes to SVGs, it's actually just the shapes or the paths. So the SVG files are smaller and scalable.
Yeah.
Because this is a universal.
Yeah, and you're out here punching me in the face while you're doing that.
All right, so we got some links here.
We need another camera.
Deal. So let's go into our index page. It's actually down here. So on our index page, I'm thinking that we're going to show these links somehow. And we need to do a lot of cleanup when it comes to our CSS.
Yes, we do. We do.
So I'm not even going to think about the CSS I'm using here.
Okay.
This is going to be horrific.
And this is his warning to me, so I don't
accidentally
put him
throw up
on the couch tonight. That's. Oh, we have a liking of the teleporting hands.
Oh, can I have my gloves over there? Can you reach them?
Oh my gosh.
I need to show the.
Okay.
So I got a.
And yes, Stacy, it is dangerous to say those things to Jimmy. We need something because he probably just ordered it from his back pocket.
So I should totally do a
couch means game night. I'll take the couch.
I should totally make a Twitch bot that you can just type in the chat, buy domain, and just the domain and just goes out and buys the domain.
No, do not approve.
So I got these from my mother-in-law. So if I put these gloves on, you'll see that my hand disappears.
He has
Come
way too
on.
much fun with that. Oh, both of us can sleep on the couch.
So I can turn off
You're not going on the couch. Invisible gloves.
I know.
Invisibility
So
gloves.
if I turn off the so you just can see the green screen, you see
They're
that
not as
I have
fun.
gloves and I have no gloves. Okay. Poke.
You
poke.
can now have things levitate.
I just love these.
I know you do. He buys everything that's green. I'm not even kidding.
All right, back to
code. Back to code.
So we're doing.
Welcome to the green screen show.
We're doing a article layout because that's a good thing to use. And we're going to say media links. So that's the media links component. And we need a base URL. So I've actually prepared just a little bit. So I added a bunch of images here. Somewhere. Here. Images. I added them in a folder called socials and all of these images here. So we're simply going to say, in this case, we want to be able to use this plugin anywhere. So we need to add a content. So this is telling Blazor that we are getting the information or the images from another assembly. Now this is actually the same assembly because we're in the same assembly when we're doing this, but when we're calling it from our Blazor server site or from our Blazor WebAssembly site, it's not going to be the same. It's going to be that namespace. So we need to say that we need another namespace.
Okay.
And we need to start that with / as well. And the namespace is coding after work. Why is work such a dot components and images / social, like that. I'm going to end that as well. So now we have everything that we need to show a media link or a media collection, I should say, a link collection. Now I did prepare a little bit more here. So I've created this.
You might have missed an N there somewhere.
Did I?
I don't know. We got that tip at least. Maybe you found it again.
Component. You're right. Component.
Thank you.
There we go. So let's just pop this code in here. So this is one of the things that I really love when it comes to Visual Studio. And this is, I mean, I'm sure that everyone that uses Visual Studio know this thing, but I always forget about it, and it's just amazing. So Shift Alt, and you can select. Can you see that just above me here? There's a little blue line here. There.
Oh, right.
So now...
Just by all the types.
Yes. So I press Shift Alt down. So I marked everything. So now I can type like this. Media link. Because that's what we called it. Did I fail miserably? Yes, I did.
Did you?
I think so. There we go. Let's do that again. So Shift down, media link, because that's what we're doing.
Cool. Yeah.
And we called it, what did we call it? We called it media, no, link type. Link type. There we go. And we can do that inside here as well. So we didn't call it link type enum, we call it media link type enum. So I can do it like this, and I can just add media here. There we go. This is like saving a million hours.
Yeah, at least a million.
Just this one for me right now. So what we're doing here is that we are adding a media link. We added an Apple Podcast. We have a little bit of code here. We don't have Meetup because I typed this one before I added that one.
This is interesting.
So we're going to take media there.
Did you know it's Alt-Shift in Visual Studio and Alt-Control in Visual Studio Code?
I did not.
Wow. Yes, Daisy also forgets that combo. But Alt-Shift is
and
wonderful.
every time you say, oh, wait a minute, wasn't there a... this saved me so much time. All right, so let's see.
We wish for one that aligns two dots on misaligned rows.
So let's take a look at our index page again here. So we got, here we actually have an @ sign that makes Visual Studio go nuts. So I think we can just add another one to solve that one. I think that should work. So we got all the links to all the different feeds. We've got a podcast feed and all of that. Let's just see if this works. Come on, work. No, it doesn't work. It's broken. All right, so what are we doing? So it still doesn't like the @ sign here. So what is wrong with that? I thought it actually would work with the double @ sign. Okay, let's remove that one for now. There we go, and scroll down, and we got all the links here.
Okay, I'm glad you warned me about the CSS stuff we
So
need
this
to
is fine,
do.
right?
Yes, sure. This is fine. Just as fine as that little dog with everything on fire. That kind of way. This is fine.
So what we're gonna do? We're gonna add to the
Shock
media
me.
links. Gonna add another file, and we're gonna name this media links dot racer dot css, like that. So it's going to pop in beneath here. So this is the isolated CSS that we were talking about. So in here, we're going to do like this, deep. So what we're saying here that we want the CSS written in this file to affect all the child components as well.
Right.
So I'm saying that all the components that is, again, beneath the media links, so media link in this case, if they have an image inside, we want it to have a max size, max height of, let's just do 50, because why not? And we want it to have a width of 200, like that. So I'm saying that all the images all the images beneath should have those dimensions, and it's not going to affect any other images inside of the site. No. That's the point of isolated CSS. We're also going to add another one, deep, and we're going to say YouTube, because the YouTube logo here doesn't have anything around it. So we're simply going to go, we're going to say that it has a border radius.
Yeah, I think we need to speak about this.
Yes, we do.
Yeah.
10px. Done in just a minute or so. Solid.
While you are typing, we actually got a suggestion for solving the @ sign. It might be an @ sign before the speech mark, after the URL.
You might be right.
Yeah.
You might be right.
Thank you.
So let's grab a random color.
Oh my gosh. You did warn me about messing up this CSS though. We can't use random colors. We have a color palette. But I'm not upset.
Isn't it strange that Jessica is muted? You're muted, honey. Can't hear you. Hello? No.
If I slap you, am I still muted?
The slap that was heard around the world.
Wait, here. 333333 isn't random. It's dark gray. But I also have try from Simon with the slap.
It is actually, I believe, I think it's called Almost Black of the YouTube palette of colors.
Do they have an almost black or a near black?
I think they call it Almost Black.
Okay.
Not sure about that.
Okay.
So we want to do basically the same thing for Twitch. And we want to do the same thing for Discord.
Actually, they are calling it almost black, but it's 21, 21, 21.
Close enough. Close enough.
No. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Discord. There we go. And let's just take a look at the color, so or the padding here. So YouTube is fine because I actually added padding in the image. Twitch, I want a 7 pixel padding. Why 7 pixels, you ask? Because it looks good.
Oh my gosh. There's no rhyme or reason to what you're doing. Wait, did you put a white back? Okay. Okay. So,
Breathe.
Yep. Okay. I will sleep on the couch tonight.
So there we go. Look at that. We've got one image that we don't. Okay, meetup. We didn't have meetup. So I probably didn't save that image. So
Oh, and
let's
over
just
here
keep
is
that
an
one.
RSS.
Yeah, it's down here. Yeah, an RSS feed. So we got all of these. Nice. Yeah. It looks nice, right? So let's take a look at what is happening inside here. So let's. So this happens. See, you had this problem today.
So the developer tools sometimes does not work. You're not able to select sometimes.
Meetup browser.
This is like if Jessica would add regions to the C# code. and also we have a translation of my sounds. That's the universal sound for you will hear about this later.
So let's take a look at here. So what is actually happening is that the CSS that we had, isolated CSS, is getting a attribute like this. So it's a data attribute.
We can't see a thing.
I don't know if this is going to work. There we go.
It did. Thank you.
So it's getting an attribute. So this is why we added a div, because we needed something to put that attribute on.
Right.
And then we're saying deep. So everything that is touched by this attribute, we want to be able to get these CSS styles. So if we take a look at the A tag here, so everything beneath here doesn't have. Let's see here.
Are you using Zoomit?
Actually, that was the built-in version in Windows.
We also got a question.
So Windows
is
Plus
that
and Windows Minus.
Oh, right, the browser.
Yeah, that
is
it's not
like
really GUID, but yes, that is the namespace, and that's generated. We can actually set the namespace if we want to, but we don't have to. So if we take a look at the network here, let's see, there it is. So the if you it's hard to read, but this is it says that codingofthework.components.bundle.scp.css. So if we take a look at that one, you'll see that it has rewritten the CSS that we just wrote, and it's saying instead of deep, it's saying everything that is touched by that ID or that attribute and YouTube. And with that attribute, well, it's the same one on Twitch and so on.
Right.
So this is how it handles the isolated CSS.
Right.
All right. And that's basically what I want. That covers my part of this.
So I have issues.
You have issues.
Yes.
Actually, I have issues.
Well, the page has issues.
So wanna pop over to your computer?
So let's just so we discuss what we're doing on stream, right? Before we do it. And naturally we do have a color palette, even though Jimmy wasn't using it, but we do have a color palette. We have dark theme, we have light theme, and all of that. But what some people do, and probably many people think is okay, is do this.
So welcome to This
Jessica's
is why everything
rant.
Jimmy did was wrong.
So let's say podcast badge, because that's what they are naming the little button thingies. If we pop into images, which in this case actually is in Swedish, why on earth is my... Why is it in Swedish? Whew! Sorry about that. Never mind. Let's skip that. And let's see if we can find... Here's a good one. If we look at here on the right side, we see some really nice design. All of them are uniform. We have the black outline. We have tension building, it says in the chat room. Yeah, exactly. All of these up here are black and they don't have an outline, and really, really nice. And you can make it work for your page.
And if I can add one, you might have seen, let's just switch over. You see that the YouTube one here, over there, I can't reach it. The YouTube one doesn't say, watch this on YouTube.
Right.
Because YouTube says that you cannot use their logo inside of a sentence. So
I'm coming to that.
Sorry. Getting ahead.
Because we also have images like this one, where we have, let's do the Control+ to zoom in a little. You see, this is nice. We can use our own colors, and no, we can't. We are not allowed, people. We have never been allowed, and this bugs me.
And this is nothing that you're passionate about
Not
at all.
Not at all. Not at all. So if we actually go into the different pages or services, for that matter, there are design guidelines where you actually download the buttons, because you don't Google for them and download them. Please do not. They have put in so much money, so much effort. I mean, they really, really want their stuff to look like their stuff and not like my stuff. So if we look here, it says, well, we have these different varieties. You need to have a certain amount of spacing between them. And of course, it's different between the different platforms, because if we had something that was easy to use, everybody was doing
I kind of like how they designed these things. Are you going to show YouTube as well?
Yes, I am.
So maybe I'm getting a little bit ahead of things here again. But the play button, the size of that triangle is the amount of space that we're going to have upwards, downwards.
Well, it's the same for all of them.
Yeah, but they're actually using the space of the triangle to map
the play
that out.
triangle, yeah. So as you can see here, you are not allowed to askew it or stretch it out or recolor it or
it's just
doing
red,
anything.
No.
And here's the kicker. For Spotify, you can only use the green color on black or white. You cannot use it on an image or a color.
Well, actually, on an image, right?
Not if it's more than one color. Then you need to use a monochrome one, either black or white.
Got it.
iTunes, the Listen on iPod, Apple podcast, they too have a lot of rules. So let me zoom in on this one. Here you see it needs to be 1/10 batch height width around it. There's a minimum of clear space until other stuff comes. But they also have, Apple says, if there's many or multiple, like in our case, you need to put Apple first. You're not allowed to put it in the middle or last. It needs to be first. We are allowed to put it on color, but it needs to be a solid color. It can be put on an image, but only if it's still legible. So, or black or white, of course. And again, there's a lot of things we cannot do. We cannot change anything. So we cannot remove the ugly gray border. We're not allowed. And then we have Google, the Google podcast. They have different rules. Because again, it would be so easy if everybody just stick to one. Again, they pretty much say the same thing, but they say instead we should, instead of 1/10, like Apple said, they say 25% measured from the batch itself. We need to have spacing. So 25% spacing.
So what would we do if two brands claim that they need to be the first one?
Skip one of them. Honestly.
Yeah.
And also Apple says if you are putting it next to content, it needs to be on the right side of the content. You are not allowed to do marketing with it without permission, and so on. Google says put it last, and they also
So that answers Simon's question.
yeah, yeah, exactly. But they also say we do not want to be the biggest thing. This is not the most important button on the page.
So why do they want to be last?
Because first place and last place is the best place for us humans to find things. The in-betweeners are just filling. So we read the first one, we read the last one, and then we read the whole thing. So we will remember first and last, and then there was stuff in the middle. And this is so much fun. I think this is so much fun. We are allowed to say, our podcast is now available on Google Podcast. We are not allowed to say it's available from Google Podcast. It's so much fun. I mean, I love this. So here's what Jimmy was talking about. You see that little white triangle in the middle here, the play button. You can imagine that we need to have at least the same amount of spacing. So they are not giving us a number. We need to figure this out ourselves. Of course, everyone you are not allowed to do anything to the image. Remove, add, use it in a sentence, like you mentioned before. Yeah. There's a minimum size.
So basic, as you can see there, please, could you scroll up just a little bit?
Scroll up? Oh, sure.
There. So please subscribe to my YouTube channel, which everyone is using.
Yeah.
Is not allowed.
You are allowed to type the words, but not use the actual logo on here. Because the YouTube logo is a symbol people recognize, so it should never be altered. And they also have different versions. We have the almost black Jimmy was talking about, which is 21, 21, 21. The triangle inside need to be white. You're not allowed to have that transparent. We are allowed to have it on images, but if it's legible, of course.
Yeah.
If it's not legible, we can use, or if it's not on almost black or white, like in our page, we are actually not using black, we are using near black. Then you are supposed to use the other colors. So what you did, putting a frame around, not allowed. We need to remove that. Unless it's way outside of the zone.
But it's still, okay. So
you are adding elements to...
but I'm adding it outside of what they are saying. So the border is outside of the triangle distance. Is it still not allowed?
I would say it's a gray zone, but I would probably say no, because you are still altering the look of the logo. Even if it's outside, it's still altering the logo because you are grouping them together.
That's why I said 3333.
Yes.
Because I got the RGB values.
Yeah. That is not the same as the hex value.
No, of course not. But that was what I remembered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, and the same thing goes for, remember when...
It says almost black.
Yes, I said near black. We have a near black.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I said almost black.
Yeah, and I said almost black as well. Okay. You can go back and watch it.
Fair enough.
Of course, I should also say that most of these companies don't pursue any stuff, but they can. So I know for instance, Twitter, they have a...
I love everything about this comment. I think you're wrong.
You're a troll. That's what you are.
So outside the play triangle, I don't think that they care. To be fair, I don't think they're going to care about our podcast page either.
Of course. But I still, if there's a rule, it's kind of like you're driving and you're alone on the road and you're changing lane. Do you not use your blinkers? I mean, technically, nobody will see it. But yes, I do. Because it's the rule.
So if you're going towards...
Simon, you don't? But like I said, Twitter. Twitter has a lot of rules. You're not allowed to recolor the bird, for instance, but everybody does it on their.
So it depends if you drive a BMW
That
or
is
not.
true, though. That is true, though. You get that.
Shots fired.
Stacy, want to weigh in on this? No, like I said, you're not allowed to recolor the bird from Twitter, but everybody does that to make it look great on their webpage. You are actually risking being banned for life, but I have never seen it happen.
Yeah.
But I still think it's important to.
What did I miss? What did I miss?
You missed that apparently you are excused as a BMW driver to use your blinkers.
I like to confuse people by using them.
That's nice. It's like, what? They have? She paid extra for that. Yeah, but I do want everybody to know and understand that there's hard work, there's rules set up. If you want to break those rules, there are pages like that provides you with images you can use, that you can even buy and use on your webpage. That is actually going against most brands' guidelines. I'm not saying it's wrong to do that. I'm just saying you should at least be aware of what rules you are breaking.
And if we look at what I did here, I thought I was covered by all the rules.
Yeah.
That I looked them up. I checked how far apart things needed to be. But apparently, I might have failed that as well.
Yeah, but at least you tried. So you got that.
And to be fair, the YouTube logo is correct with the spacing if you don't count rounded corners.
Yeah.
So
and also those are minimum requirements.
yeah.
So there's a lot of rules, but still, it's a pet peeve of mine. You could say.
You could almost tell.
Yeah, almost.
But I think it's kind of important to think about those things when it comes to all those guidelines, brand guidelines and stuff like that. And I would imagine that most people don't read it at all.
No, exactly. And I think because everybody else is doing it, you think it's okay. But then we break Stack Overflow licensing rules every day anyway.
Yep.
So, yeah. But at least we should know what we are... okay. Am I getting called out here? Someone should build a configurable media component that follows the rules and looks as good as possible. I'm looking at you, Jessica. Ouch. Okay. Yep.
This is what we're trying to do.
Yeah. At least we should know what we're doing, right? But it looks way better when we are coloring it according to our page, of course. But I will probably insist on us maybe not having it on the first page, on the front page, but maybe we should put it on a social link or find us page, and also on the podcast and the YouTube page, instead of having it there, because it won't look as messy as this one.
We need to do something about this.
Yeah.
And that's why we have all the other items in the backlog, putting the TikTok in there. We need to do that, and we need to do that right.
Yeah. So it's still a work in progress.
And while we are on the subject, if you are watching this on YouTube, please subscribe. If you're not watching it on YouTube, please subscribe. And if you're watching it on Twitch, please subscribe. And if you're watching it on YouTube, please subscribe. We would love for you to subscribe on YouTube. And we got TikTok, and we got all of them, basically.
Yeah. Subscribe all the things. That's what I want to do.
Yeah.
all your subscriptions belong to us. No? No?
Now we really got nerdy here.
And hostile.
And
Exactly.
if you,
Like, comment, subscribe.
and if you want to see us geek out even more, we got another channel called
Married Geeks.
Media Geeks. No, that's not
Married
what we're doing.
Geeks.
Married Geeks.
Because
We are geeks.
and we're married. Actually, it's the other way around.
Oh,
I don't know.
That seems reasonable.
I am an obedient slave. I'm not subscribed on YouTube. Not married with geeks. No.
Married with Geeks. No? I don't know.
Oh, thank you. That's awesome.
And we're going to do, we do have plans to put up some more content on YouTube that we're not going to stream. So
Yep.
it's always a good place to subscribe.
Yeah, I recognize that. Married with Children, the show from the 80s.
Marriage, love,
That is what my brain was hearing when you...
You're welcome.
Married with Geeks. Is that the Cats TV show? Or Married with Blazor?
Wait a minute. I need
do
to.
not get that.
I just need to get a domain here. Don't worry about it. Don't mind me.
Jimmy came down downstairs the other day. Do you know where your company credit card is? Yes, I do. You have your own. Yeah, but just say theoretically, if I needed to find your card, where would it be? What are you buying? Nothing.
Definitely not a new domain. That is not something I would do.
Spoiler alert, it was a domain. It's always a domain.
You're so domaining. Demanding.
Oh, no,
It didn't work.
No.
I agree.
Yep.
I
Bad
agree.
puns. Bad puns.
All right. We did our four things, I believe.
No.
And you talked about why I did them wrong.
Yes.
So
Very upsetting. With passion.
with passion, definitely with passion. So I think it's nothing
to round
else to do and then to round off. Yeah. So
Awesome.
next week.
See you next week.
Bye.
Thank you so much. It's been super fun.